All right. From Cincinnati, Ohio, and Bowie, Maryland, this is Behind the Bots, the podcast that brings you the stories of the people behind the bots. I'm Jake.
And I'm Brandon.
And today on our podcast, our interview with Team Valkyrie members John, Bam, and Leanne. Say that 3 times fast. Like our show, please rate us on and review us on Apple Podcasts, Google Play, Spotify, TuneIn, Castbox, Player FM, and Podbean. Give us a follow on Instagram and Facebook at Behind the Bots, and go subscribe to the Behind the Bots YouTube channel. It'll be linked in the description. Brandon, what's going on in the combat robotics calendar for July?
Should have been August, but either way, for August, it is still interesting because right now it's actually interesting. We have less countries running events, but still lots of events happening. Because currently you have events that are happening in the US, the UK, Canada, Australia, and Germany. The biggest event this month is the Adelaide Robot Combat Havoc 9 as part of the Science Alive show at the Adelaide Fairgrounds in Adelaide, Australia. This event is hosting 84 robots across 150-gram ant weight classes, beetle weight, hobby weight, and sports and featherweight classes. This event is also notable as it's sponsored by the Australian government as part of their National Science Week. So if you want government funding in robots, well, one of the ways to do it, I guess. Get the details on this event and more at robotcombatevents.com, buildersdb.com, and bristolbotbuilders.com. And so now we head into our interview with Team Valkyrie. Hello, everyone.
Hi, Team Valkyrie. Hey, welcome to Behind the Bots. We're so excited to hear about your experiences with BattleBots Pro League. Let's jump into it. What did that look like? How did BattleBots come back, and what was their pitch to you guys?
Late. Because if they were going to do a thing and also there's no time to do it, like after the holidays, I don't remember when, in like January, February, they're like, so we think we're going to do this thing and it's going to be in April, go. And so we weighed out, decided we want to go see if we could try to do the frame and armor upgrades that we have never committed the time to, and did. And if you've watched the first episode, we kind of talk a little bit of basically our shipping carrier held our packages hostage of all of our new frame for 3 weeks, leading directly up to the first day of competition.
Yeah. Yikes.
Yeah, not great. Hey, John and Bam, why did you say yes to doing this madness again? Yeah, here you go. This is a good example of, hey, guess which parts we're still missing in shipping. Yeah, we basically, the cool part, at least, that I'm very proud of, despite all of the bumps and hurdles we had, we figured out a way, like you can see actually in this picture, that was us loading in first day into our Airbnb of how much of the robot we had. Night before fights.
So I've seen pictures in the past of Valkyrie with like 3 copies, like very put together. This is a little bit different from that. So was this the only frame that you guys had running? Hello? Why did all the audio just drop off?
Oh, well.
Hey, Brandon, can you hear them?
Yeah, I can hear everybody. So I'm guessing it might explode on Jake's side. Oh. Hello? Sometimes that happens.
Test.
That sounds good. Leanne?
Can you hear us all?
Testing.
I can't hear Leanne.
Interesting.
I can hear Leanne.
We can hear Leanne.
We can hear Leanne. But Jake's pulling from the output from the stream's hearing.
Mind checking your video, Ninja. Sorry.
Huh.
Oh. Sorry. I didn't mean to leave. Whatever the output is for Discord.
I can hear you, Jake. Let's see. And I'm guessing Jake's checking the video. Anything on the Video Ninja side?
Output. Okay, that works, and no echo when I change it. So, okay, good, cool, interesting. Sorry.
That's all right.
And we're back with Team Valkyrie.
But Jake, we share. We share.
Little hits there. Welcome back to the stream, guys. Always. So this is a very different Valkyrie than what we've seen in the past. We usually see like a big rack of. I think I've seen a picture of like 3 Valkyries like ready to go. So is this the only frame that you guys were running?
So we did have enough parts for 3 robots, but the challenge with that is we had 3 robots in 6 boxes, and we were getting piecemeal day by day leading up to us getting to Vegas our parts. As you can see from that previous picture, we're actually missing the 2 front new new frame pieces that hold our front armor on. But the reason why we've never had this issue before is we've never iterated on the frame since we started in 2018. This has been like the pain that we have just continued to accept every year as we iterated on all of our other sub-assemblies and modules, and we were just sick of doing that. Like, Valkyrie is wide. Valkyrie is still wide, but it's 100 millimeters less wide than it used to be. And it also drives a lot easier, less pivoting from the center and more balanced like a normal driving robot, and less reliant on the front heavy bit. So we did end up having some Ultima parts made, which is what we used. We were planning on running for the front wings with some confidence. Obviously, the strength of it would be less than what we wanted it to be with aluminum. But we knew that we were going to try to get in the box, go regardless, while we were still missing our final package that held all 6 of our front wings, which are our front armor, front frame pieces. So, we basically, week leading up to it, fortunately, Derek from Calypso and Gigabyte and Cobalt, he helped us with having a variety of people in SoCal go to the warehouses where our boxes kept being found, so they could open up each package and tell us which parts we were still missing, so we could figure out how much percentage of robot we still needed to figure out and what to make. So yeah, definitely felt like we were unprepared. We did have the plan to receive all parts in-house, like here at my warehouse in the Bay Area, 3 weeks before, and then UPS just decided nah. Like, they just decided to keep holding on to them. Our vendor ended up getting the zip code wrong, and so it was bouncing around different warehouses in LA rather than routing it all up to Northern California. So that's why we were what looked unprepared, but we were just like, we can do it. Like, worst case, we bought enough aluminum to artisanally craft a handmade set of those front wing parts if we had to. And fortunately, we didn't have to do that. But we had like printed out all the jigs to basically make it so you had like aligned bandsaw cuts, and then we just try to force the part into being what we needed to so we could actually have front armor.
So this is
plan
threading.
C. There are 3 plans.
Yes, threading to put in better metal inserts. John, do you want to talk about actually what you're doing here?
There, I'm having to tap that
Maybe.
for a just helical
Hopefully.
insert so that
I
we
can't hear.
I know he's muted.
can hear me now.
Yes.
Oh, hey.
Okay. There, I'm just tapping it for to add inserts into it. We tried and we went and got those metal inserts from Home Depot that are to go into wood to put threads into them because we're trying everything to put threads in these Ultim parts because when we sent them in a rush, we didn't catch that we were putting inserts for threads into our metal parts, and we just sent the metal parts to be 3D printed as is because we were in a big hurry then because we're not getting these. And so it's like, well, we got to figure out how to add threads in these to bolt our armor on to make them useful. So trying all sorts
Thing versus not running it at all. And then while we were fitting this up, day before fights, John got a call at 5:30 p.m. from our friend that he had made at UPS, who actually helped us track down the other boxes, saying that she found the last box. And then John drove from Las Vegas to Long Beach and back.
Oh,
In
my
how
God.
many hours, John?
It was Laguna Beach, which is
There you
south of
go.
Long Beach. That I think it was 4.5 hours each way. At least I got some good tacos on the way back. That
Okay.
was a highlight of that trip, and but I mean, those parts were there. We weren't having a good time trying to make those ourselves. The plastic
No.
ones were very susceptible to ripping, especially because the problem with 3D printed parts like that is they also have layer lines, so they can separate on the layers, especially where we added those threads. So even if the strength is there for the plastic itself, the 3D print would be compromised.
Yeah,
So
I
the fact
guess.
3D prints there, and yeah, it was worth going to get the parts and got that and got our center weapon module, and had those back to the Airbnb by about 2 a.m. I believe.
Oh, man. So it's like as far as the bits go, like the Ultim front, I'm assuming that the other parts, other frame parts, were you thinking like any other big changes to it besides that as well? Like assuming that the Ultim wasn't the only thing that you could have changed if you could have, or didn't have to do if you didn't have to do. What were some other things that came to mind for Valkyrie?
Well, so as far as the frame redesign went, a lot of the pain points that we wanted to address was like we had a very large base plate previously, and the problem with doing that is now if you have multiple points that you want to access on the robot, you really only have enough space for like 2 sets of hands just at the top. But we wanted to make it so we could flip the robot over and you could access from underneath as well. And so that was one of the things that we wanted to drive, like basically making it a lot more accessible and trying to jam in, like package everything a little bit closer together. So you just have better like density displacement. Like one of the things we found in the first couple of years of Valkyrie was that if we got hit on the corner, the base plate was flexing around like 3 to 4 millimeters. So that just is like a pretty large lever arm. So getting away with like having a shorter one there was just going to help make less shifty problems with the robot. So that was one of the things we wanted to improve. And then as we've had configurable armor configurations, like being able to do the same thing with underneath the base plate, so it would help us out with whoever we were going against, or like say if we ended up in a fight against Huge or something, we'd be able to kind of not just have aluminum and exposed area. We'd be able to like toughen up there if we had ended up upside down or started upside down. But yeah, so you can kind of see here you have just sort of like the center weapon module, and the goal was also to make it so if one module went down, you could pull it out and then switch out with a new one, or try to just make it so we had a lot more speed in between fights, especially as we know we had a day and a half for 3 fights, which meant really short amount of time in between fights to fix everything up. And so we wanted to try to ease that process as fast as we could, and I think that was actually validated by us being able to be ready for all 3 of our fights. I guess that's slightly a spoiler, but don't say how it went. But yeah, we were able to basically still be able to rapidly turn around everything, pull out stuff, fix stuff. Careful with the pictures you're showing. Yeah. No, you're good. I don't know if this is live.
I don't want to show anything I'm not allowed to. Okay.
No spoilers, no spoilers.
Yeah, no spoilers.
Exactly.
My bad. So we talked to Ray Billings with Tombstone a couple weeks ago, and he was talking about some redesigns to the weapon motor package that he was running. So what's going on here?
Oh, this one, I mean, this is actually the same as what we started running in 2022.
Okay.
We kept the one thing that, like, iterative design is really important, and one of the key things you should always focus on is keep what works, change what doesn't. And once you're confident with all of your systems across it, then you can start to look on like true upgrades and limiting what variables you're changing. So this was an example of like we kept our drive module and weapon module the same, and then we're just messing around and changing the armor and frame. And so in this case, this is actually the same as before, but we actually simplified the interface into the robot because there was a lot of screws that you'd have to go through previously, and we wanted to like simplify how quickly it'd be to switch that module out if we had it. We learned with our fire at face-offs that this was a pain to like pull out 20 screws, so we simplified it down to like I think 8 or 10.
Wow. That's really good. How?
There's just like a whole bolt circle all the way around with a lot of smaller bolts, so we just beefed up the size of the bolt and made it better displaced to be able to drop it in.
Wow. Nice. That's really good.
Yeah.
That's really good design work.
And you can actually see from this picture, one of the things we borrowed from Kablooey is our top skid plate there. That's the blue giant bolts with the UHMW that we saw success with Kablooey Tango is you don't need to take that part off as you take the top plate off. You might as well just make it so that can always stay on and make the top plate go around it rather than the stack where you have to pull now 2 things off to get inside the robot.
Yeah, actually I was going to ask about Kablooey because obviously you mentioned before there's some things you do accept on Valkyrie's sort of shape and identity, but the parts that you did decide to change and iterate on were part of those pulled from Kablooey. Like, how much interaction does Kablooey Tango's design, Valkyrie's design go hand in hand as far as iterating for BattleBots?
Yeah, we do try a lot of hypothetical ideas on the smaller stuff, and then try to integrate some of that into the larger robot. We have assessed even if we wanted to go 4-wheel drive, like we have on Kablooey, and that just was going to be a way bigger tear up of like you have a lot more mass when you have 4-wheel drive versus 2-wheel drive and the resources to that. And so we were going to have to change more than just the frame and armor if we wanted to go that direction. So we decided conservatively, let's focus on the thing that we haven't changed in 6-7 years. And then, like, if we decided to do a full bananas crazy tear up, we could look at that. But it would affect our reach a lot if we were to go to 4-wheel drive, and we didn't want to compromise on that.
Gotcha. So that, because I forget, how long Kablooey runs versus Valkyrie's age, but if I had the math right, Valkyrie is 8 years old, 2018, and
Yep.
Kablooey is somewhere in the middle. I forget how long Kablooey's been running.
They like
But I imagine
4
years?
5 years. About 4
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
It's like,
4
okay,
years.
it's like roughly half its life. Okay, so that's helpful.
Yep.
So, like, in that process, I mean, how many times able to run Kablooey? Like, how fast was its iteration process? And was that, like I mentioned before, about being helpful for Valkyrie, obviously, but like, how much more rapidly could you do stuff, and how is that appreciated, like, versus the heavyweight scale, like the smaller bots versus big bots, and how they kind of build off each other? Like, how has that been like?
Yeah, this is sort of us speaking on behalf of Alex Crease, who's like the main designer for Kablooey, and he's like the person who runs it normally. But I think because there are way more small robot events, we're able to iterate way quicker on the smaller robots than on big robots, right? Like, where big robots, oftentimes we don't have that many events, and when there are events, we don't have enough time to iterate for those events. So it's harder to plan for those, whereas like smaller robots, we have regular events, so it's easier to iterate, cost less, and it's just the stakes are lower, right? So the iteration is much easier.
What goes in?
Oh,
Yeah.
totally.
deciding what is a priority as far as iteration on the heavyweight scale? Like, how do you decide with competitions that are so spread out? How do you look at fights and decide this needs to be improved?
If we have any failure points in the fight, that's definitely like the immediate thing. Like that's like win or lose, I always see it as like we're winning because there's always something we find that we want to change. Sometimes with the wins you don't get that, and so like that's really important for. Oh hey, we saw that this failed really big. We should have noticed that, or oh that we already know what the fix will be for next time, and that usually is just like kind of how we do a burn down list after every event to just like list out everything that went well, what didn't go well, what we want to prioritize for changing, and then when the next season rolls around, that's usually where we like plan out what do we want to take on for new changes or risk, or what things do we definitely not want to run into again, that type of stuff. I don't know, Ben, John, what else?
I think that that's pretty accurate. Like, what are the must-haves? What are the nice-to-haves? We tackle the must-haves first, and if the nice-to-haves get tackled in the meantime, then that's great. But I think the one thing that we did not have the luxury to have time for is testing, because everything came in so late, and testing is such an important part of the development process that we barely got the robot in the box, and so we had no time to test. There was just still a lot of, like little things that end up killing you. Like a lot of the things that end up killing your robot are the small details, and those are without the time to test and take those away. It's pretty rough.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and even just like driving testing. Go ahead, John.
One other thing we've had there too has been making the robot more serviceable. So after things that break, it's also just, okay, this doesn't break per se every time in a way that hurts our robot, but it takes a long time to turn the robot around. So how do we make it easier to fix? And how do we make it easier to swap armor? And with that too, with even some of the things we kept the same, when you change other parts around them, you always discover little tiny like bolt heads and things that you just didn't catch without good test fits and without having the parts to test fit them. So always some little small thing too.
For sure.
Yeah, like welding, for example. If you need to have something set up, like we did a 3D printed weld jig for our welder to set up our armor, and that obviously had different tolerances than what our final parts did. So that was a pain getting the fit right when we needed to get the front armor on before we fought.
Yeah, for sure. Like I guess for me, it's been a while. So I think World Championship 7 was 2022. So that's a couple of years ago now. But like in your experience from like Pro League to face-offs to World Champ 7, what are some things that you've sort of noticed or just felt in the different ways that the different challenges set up? So I remember for OG filming, it's like 2 weeks robot boot camp. You're kind of committed into it as long as you can. Mostly every day is just full build day / fighting day / waiting time for fights, and then the occasional dark days in between them. But like with face-offs and Pro League being this more condensed format, how would you say that's both been interesting on the bot designing side and just the human side of like how do you work through it? How do you handle it in that different time period?
It's nice to know who you're fighting.
Yes. Knowing who you're fighting has been good.
It's so good.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, agreed. And the just like late notice is kind of a little bit challenging. Face-offs was a little bit easier because we committed to that, I think, a little bit earlier. We were able to have the time to commit to it a little bit earlier and pick which dates we'd be available. You don't get dark days, and you don't have time off with face-offs or Pro League. Like, you just have too much back-to-back stuff, and it just makes it so it's just like really hard work, really long hours, and that takes away some of the fun from it. Like, almost every team, like, I saw, no one had time to like hang out, catch up, socialize as much, because you just aren't hurrying. Like, you're not hurrying up and waiting. There's just hurry up and go, and then you got to go fix stuff again. Sucks. So one of the morale things I tried to do is at least us having like good food and meals together, and not go too bananas with like how early or late we're forcing ourselves to stay up and try to just get like minimum viable stuff for fights and then go from there.
Oh, wait a
Face-offs
minute.
was nice
Mhm.
because we had a little bit more box time too. Our robot was more ready going into that, but also just with less teams filming during a face-offs, you're competing with less teams to have your robot in there to just practice driving around, try new things out. The Pro League was like half the amount at a normal filming season jammed into one weekend, so there wasn't a lot of box practice time either, which made things a little more stressful.
Yeah, it would be like 11:30, and we're like PM, and we're like, surely no one's gonna be at the test box now, right? We show up at the test box, and there's still people at the
And then there's a
test
queue. Yeah.
The midnight queue at the test box.
Yeah,
Gosh, I did not envy that.
yeah, I mean, this season, like this Pro League specifically, felt, at least to me, more of like us against ourselves than us against other robots. Us against UPS, actually. Let's put it that way.
Yeah.
It was just like,
Yeah,
oh, we're grateful the robot, like we're grateful the motors spin in circles and the robot moves and the weapon moves, like, and it's in the box and it can fight. We're like, yes, we're winning already.
I respect that. It's a very helpful baseline to go from. Better to have something than nothing, that's for sure.
Yeah, and I think in the end it was a good learning experience for all of us. You know, I think we all learned different things. Yeah.
And I will say that there were a few small interference problems with the robot, but once we got those parts in, that first day we literally got them in at 2 a.m., the day we're fighting, and by 2 p.m. that same day, our robot's in the arena functioning, everything together, and so I would say that's a pretty good win on how this team's been working together, and how even though a lot of us are in different areas, we still collaborate pretty well and make it happen.
Yeah, we also got a lot of help from other people who had the time, like Matt Vasquez, Josh, like some other team members from Scorpio. So we had a lot of good hands helping us as well.
I like that a lot.
Everyone wants to see each other do well and, like, you know, have your robot fight to its best capabilities. If you're winning only because, you know, the other robot just had like a series of unfortunate events and things leading up to the event, that just like sucks, because then you don't know how you'd fight against the other, and so no one wants that. Like, we wouldn't want that against them when we are fighting, for them just have like a technical difficulty as to why they weren't able to do stuff, like be able to fight or whatever. So yeah, it's
100%.
it's a learning experience. It makes me want to have my own 5-axis CNC, which is something I'm now trying to practically rationalize as something I should do.
Yes.
Community 5-axis machines for BattleBots builders. That'd be such a great, helpful move.
Please.
Ooh.
That could be an idea. I don't know how focused the little hubs are in like the West Coast, like in NorCal or SoCal or other parts like that. But I can definitely say that if you could find a nice little makerspace and like share a space or something like that, it's an idea. I don't know.
So here's Alex. So he's ripping out this entire center weapon module right now.
Yep, that one. So that's from the old one.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, let's see how you have a full base plate there. That would make it so if you needed to reach underneath at all, you would have no option. And so that's part of why we changed things to just being like more robust, connected. Instead of just flat base plate with upright frame rails, we made it module based, like frame rails that then integrated and kind of like meshed together and bolted together, and smart ways of how you'd be hit, or where there could be like strain on the frame.
So with this one, you're saying if this corner got bent here, the whole base plate was like hard to work on. But with this,
exactly.
You replace one of these panels. So were you worried about?
You could switch out the whole drive module.
Nice. Okay, so were you worried about introducing some sort of like weakness down the center spine of this robot then?
And we wondered if there would be that, but like because you have the front wings and the rear part parts. Like the way that they support each other is pretty strong. So then it's just a matter of your base plate material, what your bottom armor is, and where, like, how that will be affected. But again, it makes it a lot easier to change out. You can kind of see that this has our magnet pods in it, and that ended up being one of the too late to change, better integration onto the robot, and going to be a change that we'll look at moving forward, because the magnet pods do tend to get hit, and magnets like to shatter. So
That's interesting. 2 bits as well from that. So I guess 2 observations that are really good. Probably been on the machine for a while, but still cool to see. So first, the magnet pods. Because I know on the East Coast
what those are. When I saw them, I had no idea what they were.
Yeah, like here on the East Coast, we have all these trees and wood, so we just like to mulch them up. But on the West Coast, a lot more steel, and I guess Las Vegas is now the West Coast too. So a lot more steel. So you have these driving pods. So so I guess you already kind of mentioned it earlier too, but like how much better has life been with those? Like how big of a factor is the magnet game in the West Coast versus without them? Like how big of a difference was that for you guys?
Well, then, you want to take it because you're the driver?
I actually have not driven Valkyrie without the magnet pods. But assuming that it's how it is driving upside down, comparing driving upside down and right side up, it is a lot different.
Yeah, that sounds about right. Yeah, and that was actually something we saw with Kablooey too, is that Kablooey is stronger when we are able to have magnet pods on Kablooey as well. Just by having like your hefty undercutter being able to counteract some of that extra mass you have in the front, and that enables us to have more shoving power, more push.
What's your, for lack of better words, what's your magnet math? Like, how do you sort of balance out, how do you want to make sure you're close enough to the battle box so still you get good traction on it, but not too far away, so that way, or close enough to get traction, but not too close in that either you risk getting high center on like spare traps of steel or struck by opponents or stuff like that. How does that design figure out? Like, how do you work on that part?
Yeah, well, so your Z distance is really the game when you're playing with like magnet force and what you look at for output. So we assume that you could probably see up to like a 1/4 inch, which like was our factor safety, or like, say someone has like a bolt or a piece of metal shear off, and then that gets stuck underneath, we'd still be able to glide around. So we targeted a sit, like I think it was like 1/4 inch-ish distance from if it was a level floor, and then we aimed for backtracking out what those magnets would be. These magnets are one of those things that do not get your fingers anywhere in between 2 of them if they're within 1 inch or 2 of each other, because you're going to crush your finger, because that ends up being over 200 pounds of force. But we basically calculated out how that would work, and then as you add magnets to do downforce, that now is putting more strain on your drive for that extra quote weight. And so you have to also check and make sure that your battery is sized correctly and how much burn you'll have through that, and that your motors and the ESCs tied to that are also able to support that additional load. So
now,
two things at once.
Yeah, I also want to point out something interesting about undercutters and magnets on your wheels, is that you're kind of like, unless I'm driving backwards, nothing really can get stuck there because you're kind of sweeping things as you drive. So it's really hard to get things to actually get stuck on it, because you're getting rid of debris as you're driving forward. So the only way it gets stuck is sort of I land directly on it, or driving backwards.
Has there been a time where has there been an issue or a moment where like the blade itself has its great big tooth, and maybe something gets, I don't know, a spare bolt comes up off the ground, gets into the blade, and the blade ever like throws something back towards the magnets? Because I know like on the left side,
I see what you're saying.
Inverted. Yeah, like kind of like it pushes away one side, but pushes the other side.
On the magnets, yeah. Like I don't think, right, Leanne? I don't think we've had a problem with things getting stuck on the magnets and us getting stuck yet.
Yeah,
it's been yet. Like the drive itself. Not yet.
Hopefully never ever.
So, again, I feel like we this is the hard thing about heavyweights, is like you just it's just so much slower to get data points, right?
Right.
Iteration is so much slower. Like you have a whole year or 2 years and you get like 3 fights. So it's like, you know, and some fights are just like, oh, it's over. Okay.
I learned less than I wanted to.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's much harder to iterate on things. So that's why I feel like, you know, like fighting in like 3 pound, 30 pound, 12 pound, that's kind of where you get the most data points, and then you kind of implement them in heavyweights and hope they work.
Yep.
We've had a few times where magnet pods demagnetize though in a match, and those are still a mystery of impact or heat.
Demagnetized. It's like the magnet was still there, but it
If
just
you
didn't have
impact
any...
a magnet, you can demagnetize it, or if you heat it up. And
Interesting.
so, if you're rubbing on something, you could cause a lot of heat, especially in these giant robots. Just have so much power that lots of things can happen.
Yeah, and N52s are like the easiest magnets to source for the ratio of force you get. So that's what these are too. But they also come with the most thermal sensitivity. I think like 70 degrees Celsius or 140 degrees Fahrenheit is where they start to degrade. So that's something to keep in mind too.
Were those, looks like maybe chain guards, the black piece that the magnets seem to be sitting on? Is that also sort of like insulation? Is that sort of the idea? Or
They were mainly chain
structural idea?
guards.
Mainly
Yeah,
chain
it
guards.
was a
Okay.
chain guard thing to simplify just like how bananas crazy our machining was. But yeah, and then also just we wanted to make sure that we could, if for some reason that shim height was varied, we'd be able to print a different one and do it more last minute-ish if needed.
Yeah, no, that's really cool. And then, sort of going along with that, you've hit on something I was interested about earlier, and that's another good example of it. Now with the advent of more 3D printers and people able to 3D print stuff in a variety of different materials, obviously Ultem being at sort of the higher range, and then things like PLA and TPU being a bit more user-friendly, how much utilizing, like how much space in heavyweights does 3D prints have? Like I see here, you have like sort of the blue padding where the batteries sit, and I assume it's like TPU or something, it's sort of more compressible. But like in other cases of the robot, what other stuff do you see, not just TPU, but like other 3D printed materials doing stuff? Like, is there a place where PLA has a room, or Super PLA perhaps, or nylons, or TPUs, and all TEMs, obviously, other cool stuff like that? How much has 3D printing been a factor in heavyweight designing over the course of Valkyrie's life?
Well, we were fortunate early on. Alex actually worked at Mark Forged, and so we had them as a resource to do a lot of carbon fiber nylon components, as well as their stainless metal 3D printing in earlier designs. And then with time, we've moved away from having those and made them actually manufactured metal for strength. But yeah, TPU, obviously, that's what we do for all of our things that need some vibration dampening and cushioning. And that also is really good with the team spread out across the country. That's a lot easier of a lift for anyone to like do the design and then send it to here, and then we can do a quick test print and confirm fitment and see if there's anything it needs to adjust a lot faster. So even like loose fit stuff can be printed out of like PLA, as long as we know like long term we want it to be out of that like carbon fiber or TPU material. We can do like a test fit there and then do the real one that may take a little bit longer to print, and then trim away as needed if there were additional interferences or something.
That's
those
helpful.
But we used to
guards-
just use foam.
Those chain guards are nice for bumping the robot ourselves and maybe one hit, but if they really get hit or anything, they do break away pretty easily. These robots hit hard. The plastics on the outside don't really survive a direct hit, but sometimes all you need is protection for one hit, so they can do the job sometimes there.
It's like one more life in a video game.
Is this 3D printed, or is this this is a UHMW part for the winglet, right? Kind kind of like out.
Yeah, that's some of our ablative armor.
Okay.
So we like to, especially with Pro League being 75% vertical spinners, we would much rather give them a chew toy than something that's going to affect our frame or like really cut into those. We only have 3 type of sets of parts. Like if they just gnaw away at some of the UHMW, that's going to be a lot easier to either fix up and throw it back in a fight, or it just is going to take a lot of that shock loading and stuff that would otherwise reverberate through like a metal part.
And so actually, like Jake, if you can go back to the one of the shots, like the undercutter, like from the bottom of the robot as well, because it's one of those important details as far as the like undercutting design goes. But you have like these little skid pads at the blades designed to rub off of. Yeah, because these guys are. Yeah, the what?
We call them the underpants.
The underpants.
They're a Fred name.
Okay.
We've had
don't
them
poop
since our
yourself.
first season.
Prevents you from pooping yourself.
That's great. Okay, I see the image. I hear the logic there.
Yeah, we found in our first season that the very large reach bar still was able to kind of wobble, and that put us at risk of losing our chain. We've obviously changed to a belt since then, but same thought applies of we don't want the weapon chewing into our pulleys. So it's a way to like have a safety guard that makes it so it stays stable and also less vibration, less stress on your motors.
You can see there that pulley has purple on top of it for the input smaller one from that weapon dragging on it.
Wow.
It's a very fine, it's hard to just design and send it. I think even with like Nightlight and Kabooey too, it's a lot of like testing, just throwing it in the box, because if it's the clearance is not enough, then you end up just, with any deflection, the blade gets jammed, and then you kind of screwed yourself up. If there's too much, if there's too much scap, then you deflect, and then you end up eating yourself. So a lot of testing and deflection that happens in the arena is just hard to quantify,
Yeah, because looking at Valkyrie, so I guess like 2 sort of number questions really fast. Like, how thick are those blades, and like how beefy is that shaft?
Yes. Our weapon variety ranges from 3/4 inch to 1.25 inch currently.
Jeez.
And they have pretty extensive reach. Like I think the previous Valkyrie had up to like a 36-inch diameter, and we've gone down a little bit from that, but by not too much. And so that's kind of like the lift, like the weight we have. We usually have like 65 pound bars, and then the shaft is like 2-ish inches, 2.5, somewhere around there.
Gosh, that's nuts. So heavyweights are crazy, because we're talking about something that is so ridiculously strong that like a really high powered rifle shooting a sniper rifle would just bounce off of and not do a thing to it. Like it maybe scratches the surface on it. And then that shaft is probably as beefy as stuff seen like a car. And so because the forces are just that big, even this enormous setup is still able to flex, which is just it's nuts.
Yeah, we actually had the machinists that did our weapon shafts. They do high performance automotive parts besides that. So we just handed them what we wanted to do for the design and told them what we wanted to have it made out of, and then let them figure out the heat shrink, because they're used to parts this big, and we didn't want to just go buy a textbook because we've had that bite us before. And then also in 2021, we actually had our weapon completely rip off, and that was with our guess at heat treating for 4140, and that obviously wasn't strong enough to hold up against hypershock, and that's why it got ripped out. So we wanted to make sure that was improved.
So to all those engineers currently in college who may see this video at some point or another, let it be known that practical testing is always still important, even if the textbook can give a great suggestion. But you're talking about leveling the force of a small sun at somebody. You have to think about what you're trying to do, and
Also,
see if
trust
that's
the
those who done
technicians
before.
that know. Like
Yeah,
if you
Tesla's
talk
have
to a
done that.
professional at a machine shop or something, like just because you have your fancy engineering degree, you don't know better. They definitely know better, and they'll like do what you tell them to. And they sometimes won't warn you of like, "Oh, kids, you'll learn." But like if you come out of like, "Let me learn from you. I respect you as the one that knows way the heck more than me." That like is just like a better conversation. And also like in general, if you're an engineer, rule one, don't be a jerk to anyone you work with, and that is anyone from like assembler, manufacturer, whatever, and they tend to give you their tricks of the trade as a result, and you learn more.
So what does this interface look like here? I mean, how does this stay like connected?
How does
to
the blade attach?
Yeah. How does it stay on?
Yeah, you see right there, like there's the whole pattern there, and we have a skid plate that goes on top.
There's not something underneath there?
Well, you have the big hefty holes that you had in the previous picture,
Okay.
but that's really what like holds on, and then our skid plate is a secondary step.
Oh, interesting. So in theory, that's like the dome that you kind of see in the bottom when you invert the robot normally. That's like a secondary piece, but the blade
that's
itself
not
can't
holding
stay
it on.
on.
That would be way too little to hold
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. That's I've always been thinking about it. I was like, there's no way that little thing is taking the force of all of Valkyrie's power. So I was always surprised. Okay,
is there a
thank you.
counterbore in the blade? I don't understand. Is there a counterbore?
There's a slight counterbore in the blade to fit the plate under it, and there's also that top plate is bolted into. Yeah, it's still it's bolted into another plate that's actually not visible in either one, like a big washer. So it's sandwiched between a washer, bolts, and then that plate's on top.
It's just like kind of clamped, and then everything clamps on to random stuff.
Are these
Wow.
are these holes? And is this part of the shaft? Is this one piece with the shaft?
Yep.
Whoa.
Single piece.
Cool.
Early Valkyrie, it was the welded together piece that was not successful, so we made it out of a single piece. And obviously, having the spline is the spline is the best way to transfer force, but it is not the best for tolerancing when you're trying to make pieces go together. So we've been able to understand like kind of where we can have for gaps there. And fortunately, like when you're making laser cut metal pieces, they're pretty accurate. So that helps with making sure if we control the spline profile and you use good GD&T on your drawings and you go with vendors that know what that GD&T means, you're good to go.
So
GD&T,
going off of that,
geometric dimensioning,
little profile call out.
Yeah, right, exactly.
Yeah.
Dick's also a machinist, so he's a big fan of stuff like that.
So is there like a hex on this side that is driving this, that is taking this pulley load, or is it, how is that?
So yeah,
is the pulley itself keying to something?
Yeah.
It is a live shaft, so there's multiple. Oh, go ahead, John.
I mean, if you look at the pictures of the top of the robot, you see the other side of the shaft, because as Leanne was just saying, that's a live shaft. So you see 4 bolts on top, and you see it going through. So it's supported by 2 bearings there that we have to be careful. And that's one thing to make the front a little more complex. The machine is just being sure those stay aligned so that we can get that good support on that shaft.
Man, moving the bearings up really shortens that stack on the weapon side. Because like Buzzkill, for example, he's got his bearings in the weapon, but because of that, the bearings have to be smaller, right? And then he's got a dead shaft, right? But this is interesting because you take that thickness and you put it into the frame, which is really interesting.
We've had
I mean, that's a nice thing of aluminum. Takes a beating. Go ahead, John. Sorry.
Yeah, I mean, we have the top one's a heavy needle roller bearing, and those can take a lot of force. So that helps a lot with that moment.
It's really impressive.
Beam bending, it matters for engineering. It's like the one of the main ones to always know, and you're like good in every application.
Yeah, because one thing that's always been really impressive about Valkyrie's runs in general is like how strong that nose is. Because I remember, I forget which year, but you're fighting Rotator, and probably one of the all-time best fights in general, but also like a particularly banger horizontal fight because you had Rotator's blade, especially if it's riding higher, so trying to hit the nose of Valkyrie, as well as the horizontal Valkyrie being on the ground as the undercutter, digging in. And so, like, during the fight, and obviously after the fight, you sort of see it. There's dozens of these cuts all across the nose of the robot's face. And so it's curious sort of seeing how much air is kind of built in, because you have that top and bottom mounting points for the shaft, but there's still a lot of that area in the center, which doesn't have a thing in there to directly support it. Is that something that you get to appreciate, get to enjoy, like having sort of a natural air gap, or is that something you ever worry about in its designing?
I mean, I think it's beneficial because then that means it's less points that could bend potentially or form into your shaft and then limit your motion. So as long as where you're controlling where it's supported and like have that well protected, that should help. I do like that you can kind of half punch out our face and we don't hurt when you do it.
It's a nice attribute. If you have a really tough jaw, then it's always going to go well. Because
hopefully,
of course, you hope so. Tons of big shots, especially for horizontals. Actually, a listener question that kind of builds off of it from Stephanie, who's a Crazy Horse Girl, an NHL server. She asks, Valkyrie's blades have always had names in the past. Are any of those blades still in use, or any new ones out there? Particularly ones with maybe new names.
Well, the one that we used for this season, we premiered at Face Offs, our bar spinner, and it's called Lavender Sunset. It has less of a goofy, quirky name because we really were not coming up with anything better, but it was sort of an homage of like how pretty Vegas can be at night. And also we did do lavender as a color, introducing into the color palette that is Valkyrie, because I was stoked that there is the Golden State Valkyries, the WNBA team now, and so their lavender is kind of the closest that we could make it to what fit the blues in our robot. And then for other names like Glory, we still use previous ones, Sweet Caroline, Sour Caroline, those have been mostly retired. What else? Yeah, I mean, I'm sure Artemis, our single tooth disc that was premiered in 2022. Yeah, we kind of have a team powwow to like name new things. We don't actually have a new design for like want to make a new weapon right now. I don't know if anyone has any ideas that they're just not sharing that we could go forward with, but
in case you want some activity ideas for the Valkyrie pages on Instagram or Facebook. Now I have a very fun activity. Yeah,
That's true.
that's true. Now I have a naming,
Or a
competition.
sponsor opportunity, perhaps.
Naming competitions. You're like, hey, so and so, do you want the insert your name here slammer?
Yeah.
Y'all can figure it out. Back
Yeah,
in
We
the
never
day-
thought about putting a
triangle.
sponsor logo on the blade. That's pretty sweet.
well,
Pretty good
good
location.
whatever we put on it. Yeah, there was just you wouldn't be able to see it when it's spinning, but when it's upside down, they'd be able to see it.
Oh,
Mm.
see, there's no counterboard. It's just going. Sorry.
Yeah. But I think even so, I don't know. Could be a fun idea. Could always pitch it out there. Nah, it'll be coming up soon, I'm sure.
Would have been from. Oh yeah, actually, yeah, the robots are here with Glory on it. So
Yeah. Yeah, but like that.
Spoilers.
Spoilers.
true.
Yeah,
Yeah, don't
spoilers.
find it. Don't find it.
Yeah.
It's from a future
That is
fight that
fine.
will air on Pro League at some point in the future.
Yes, like and
Oh, we have
subscribe to
an episode
BattleBots.
coming out next Thursday. We have an episode coming out next Thursday.
Ooh, very cool.
There you go.
Very cool.
Spoilers.
No,
Spoilers.
I'm not showing this. I'm not showing this. I mean, you guys can see this. I'm not streaming this. I'm not streaming this. You're good. You're good. I double checked. We're good.
Yeah. No, that's pretty good though. I like it. So now there you go. New market opportunity built in there, 100%. You got options. Actually, kind of a second question, sort of building off of the horizontal spinner archetypes as a whole, kind of referencing it to her earlier. Evan, builder of Jerk, an HRL server, asks, was modern 250 horizontals few and far between along with this recent scarcity of 250 events? How have you guys approached making changes to Valkyrie? I know KT's a good source of data for y'all, but what other sources of inspiration for you guys draw from? And then I'll add to that, how is it like being an undercutter in the current age of BattleBots? Like, how is the horizontal world treating you guys?
Difficult.
Difficult.
I was like, all the
That's
talk about this all the time.
Yeah.
It's hard. Like, there's not much data point you can get. You just need to get them yourself. You can't be like, oh, like, I'm gonna, the best thing you can do is like, oh, we'll watch, like, Bloodsport fight another vertical spinner. But, like, that's the closest data point we have. And we just hope it kind of, it's tough.
It's tough.
Yeah, we drive differently and stuff. So yeah, I don't know. It's the vert game is the game to join. Apparently, can't beat them, join them type of thing. But that sounds boring. I don't know. Like, verts seem easier to design. So whenever I start to do a design of a vert, I get bored. Like I had been doing a new 12. Yeah,
We're a vert for about 2 seconds there.
we can fig. We can balance this way. Do that in overhaul.
No, when Valkyrie is a vert, it's terrifying vert. I'll tell you that much.
I wouldn't want to be in front of it.
It's more terrifying for us, though. Like,
yeah, it's finally on plane to absolutely threaten to kill you in the battle box because it can like bounce right against the wall, and that much power. Ooh, heavyweights are scary. Every time I think about it.
We rely a lot on gaining some experience and learning from smaller weight classes.
So when Liam and I saw Kablooey Tango with the fork on it for the first time, we're like, we got to try that out. So I'm a huge fan of putting a fork on a horizontal. So is Valkyrie, are you looking that way with it?
Well, we did actually talk about
slightly different. Yeah. Okay, go ahead, Leanne. You can talk about it.
I was just going to say, we talked about doing forks, but because we knew who we were going against, we kind of like weighed whether or not we'd actually need them. But like, especially where we'd see it successful as Kablooey, we want to like kind of copy what's successful with the variety of fights that Kablooey's had. Go ahead, Pam.
I think, like, I don't know. I've been having like mixed feelings about forks and undercutters. Like, I run on my 3-pound too, and it's like, I think it becomes like a game of rock paper scissors in the end. Of like, you're running it against a wedge, and then if they know you're running forks, they're not going to put the wedge on. And then what? And then just have forks. I guess that's fine. I don't know. It's
The kill saws make forks kind of suck in the BattleBots too, and you've seen. And you've seen so many people get stuck with that, and so like that would be terrible. Or if the forks got bent in somehow, and then now that's going to become a break pad on our undercutter. Those are things that we kind of weigh of like, are we putting stuff in the way that can only hurt us more than it could help us, and that kind of helps us weigh whether or not we want to like book it.
And
I think my feelings about forks and undercutters are like different between Valkyrie and like smaller weight classes. I think just because of like the dynamics of materials and like how much our blade can get through. I think historically we've seen our blade be pretty destructive against wedges directly on the 250-pound weight class. Like, thinking back to like our Hypershock fight where it was just like wedge there, don't care kind of situation, whereas like in smaller robots, it's more it's just like the way the materials play out is slightly different. It's more of a control game. So, and the game always evolves, materials evolve, and strategies evolve. So we kind of just need to figure it out. But so far, I think at least for Valkyrie, going into this season, we're like, well, we were doing well against wedges, so we didn't feel the need to like have a fork configuration for the season.
You also don't have the same scaling from going from smaller weight classes to larger bots, just from a mass perspective of you only have 250 pounds to go around. And so adding a fork on in our Valkyrie sides with the amount the weapon reaches out, you got that cube factor fighting you there of scaling it up from a smaller bot and having smaller forks. So if it's not mounted robustly, it can hurt you more than it can help you, which we've also seen in some previous seasons.
You're like looking at like a 40-pound fork at that point, you know?
Yep.
Between the mounting and then, yeah, interesting.
Yeah, I also think that like ground game and everything requires so much testing, which again we did not have the luxury of time to test. So the pros and cons just don't really weigh out right now. And again, as Leanne mentioned, things don't. I think like in terms of like attacking other people and like getting through wedges, we've been doing okay, at least in the heavyweights weight class. So it hasn't been our priority, but. We are, and we will continue to test in the smaller weight classes just to understand how things work and how things continue to evolve, even while we're not fighting heavyweights.
Yeah, because I'd imagine with in the classical game with the forks go, I remember with Kablooey obviously doing it before, but even in the NHRL world, like Jake was alluding to, in the 12-pound classes, people have been trying the forks with relative success and drawbacks for similar reason. There's actually a robot, 30-pound robot called Anxiety, which had both the front fork that kind of comes out sort of like a low angle out in the front, trying to stop up the robot, but it also has like the big rear fork, something like Rotator had, with the intention of can I control you to some degree, or something like that. And and it's curious because, in particular, in their benefit, because it is on the wood. And ever since, the advent of cleats, where people can biting so well into wood, and then they can really bounce themselves off of it, it drives like a dream. And I think a big part of that is simply because it has that really good advantage as far as driving goes, because its center of mass is so nicely aligned, and the cleats add with it too. But it's interesting, sort of, as I've seen more about Valkyrie, with both the weight on the nose, because your weapon is just beefcake, as well as like magnets and stuff. It's like I begin to understand why that becomes like a limitation at the heavyweight scale. Yeah, you can sort of see it in this video here of Anxiety fighting Dead Rise. It has the forks up front. It has the forks in the back. It's super control focused. The whole point is that you cannot reach it. But at the same time, there's also concern that if, let's say, Dead Rise uppercuts the weapon here and potentially breaks it, its weapon can die because there's more weight being put into the control parts of it.
Yeah.
Oh, and
it's like in the end, it's like a status. Yeah, it's like a status bar kind of, like a stats bar kind of thing. Like, do you want to optimize fully on, like attack, defense? Like, are you more on control, right? I think the way I see combat robots, in the end, it's all about like resource management. Like, how do you manage weight? How do you manage weight, like cost? How do you manage your time? Like, how do you manage all these things? It's all about resource management, really, on a bigger scheme of things. But in the end, I think at least Valkyrie right now it's not a control bot. Kablooey more so can be a control bot if it wants to be, but Valkyrie is not a control bot.
Yep.
Right now.
So you're talking
right
about
now. I always hope. Go ahead.
You're talking about resource management a little bit. This might be a bad question, but how does the boring part of a team work for you guys? How does because everybody talks about the bot, but how do you guys manage designing on the same robot, working on the same robot, the boring side of everything, right?
Design isn't boring.
Yeah.
Boring. But design, we use Onshape, and so that kind of helps, so everyone can kind of sign in and see where people are working on stuff. We can do branches. You can kind of just do different ideas, and then we do a lot of design reviews, usually through Discord or something. We'll just post stuff if we don't have time to do a full team sync, or if we want to do smaller syncs, or just hey, let's choose Tuesday, whoever's free. I want feedback on blank. So that's kind of how we at least manage having a across the country team. And then what else? What was the other question besides design?
I don't know. The boring
logistics.
Side, the boring side of logistics. I
don't know, coordinating flights or having to I guess, John, maybe you drove the short stick and driving to California and back to go pick up the parts.
This time I flew to California and got a rental car and drove that 2,000 miles across 4 days.
Don actually likes driving.
But I like driving.
Don likes driving.
And I
That's
got
a
to
win.
driving.
with another trip I had to do anyway. So that was a lot of fun. And
Dylan has a job.
Oh, so you're winning. So John's doing great. So that's good. Go on.
But yeah, but
Yeah,
like,
but-
yeah, we just try to, I don't know, I like to try to make it so no one's like doing jobs they don't want to do or like taking on responsibilities they don't want to do. And whatever the super unfun stuff is, I try to always take.
and even being not really in the same spot, we still descended on the Valkyrie workspace there to help organize it in the end and move it all. And I mean, that I would say is probably the most boring. I would not say boring, but just the hard-working part of like cleaning out old parts, putting your new parts in bins, labeling things. But we all did it together as a team, and it didn't take but a day and a half or so there to get.
Even you get to the hobby weights and then feather weights. But most people kind of think of BattleBots as like their, well, at least the small ones, it's like a very personal one-on-one kind of thing. It's like, I designed this robot, I built this robot, I run this robot, I drive this robot, I fix this robot, I take it home and put it to bed every night. So like,
you take it home.
sometimes you take its ashes home, maybe, or maybe I don't know. Like it's a very personal experience, and particularly if you're starting off small. And heavyweights are kind of unique because they really demand like the team dynamic versus like the very, very small ones. Because I've seen people who have been able to share featherweights. I know a college team certainly do that. But it's very hard to do that same thing with like a beetle weight or an ant weight, just because of the physical space of like the fingers and all that kind of stuff. But I find with heavyweights, they're so like, I don't know, more human size-ish. Even that's like a weird thing to say, but they're big. They're physically larger, so you can physically do more with multiple people in them. It can kind of foster that greater dynamic of like, how do you work together on it? Because like, yeah, I could not I'm not sure if anyone's bulked up on Team Valkyrie or anything like that, but I imagine it's really hard to just solo carry Valkyrie from one spot to another. It becomes unsafe at best, critical damage at worst. But I imagine it kind of leans into that team space mindset. So it's a very good lesson, just like in general, to kind of work together, build a heavyweight. Probably fiscally irresponsible, but very cool, I imagine, too.
Yes. Yeah, I think a lot of us came from First Robotics, and so like that's like half the weight right there. And you always think of it as being on a team and having a team that you're working on like everything together, and you divide it by sub-assembly, and everyone takes like ownership or leadership on different parts of the robot, rather than it having to just be like one person's thing. And then also that's really the value of design reviews too. I mean, even if you were to have like a smaller weight class robot, I would encourage doing design reviews with peers if you don't already, because you do get a lot of like, oh, hey, I didn't think of that, or oh, I didn't look that way, or oh, I totally, like, in the middle of getting the details done, forgot about that one thing. And so being able, like, having collaboration is like the best way to be successful with, like, I'd say any weight class, in my opinion.
And
I like team collaboration a lot.
the bigger your robots get, having the robot split into separate components that can easily assemble together, moving away from our centralized base plate to the separate wheel modules allowed us, even though we're getting our parts in late, we could each work on a different side and then bolt it all together. And so all have kind of our own task to work on there and kind of use the people most effectively, as opposed to having all the hands on the exact same frame at the exact same time, to best just use that teamwork and even invite in others, as Bam was saying earlier, to help us out.
Yep.
So when people ask to hop into stuff, have you ever had to do like a rapid onboarding where you're like, hey, this is how Valkyrie Pod A works. Have fun. And like,
That's kind of what part it is.
Yeah.
That's true too. Some of it's obvious, like, hey, look, the chain goes on the sprockets. Go. But there are more complexities. They're just like, how does this fit on? And so some of the more quirky ways of assembling stuff, we'd usually have like a teammate tag along with, like, if either is Matt or Josh working on something, they would either just like poke us and ask, or just be like a team project of this is going to get done faster with two people and not just one. And so they'd be just quickly onboarded that way. But like both of them now know our robot very well. Like our final day, we hadn't taken hero shots of our robot yet, and so we had to build up another robot for them to do that. And like Matt and Josh just like rushed on that and crushed that while we were like focusing on getting the other robot ready for our final fight, which was really useful.
Yeah, it was so much. There was a lot of project management happening during Pro League. It was pretty crazy. You're like, someone's working on Plan A, someone's working on Plan B, someone's working on Plan C. Put 3 robots.
Yep. Yeah, and that actually was like the value of having like a larger team is you're able to do that of just like having parallel system work being done for different timeout or checkpoint plans for the day. And like without the full team, that wouldn't have been possible, or if it only been like a few of us, that would have been really challenging to do.
For sure. And you kind of already alluded to it a little earlier, but I guess it's worth backing up for it too. Because Bobby on NHL Discord simply asks, what are your origin stories? And you already kind of alluded to it first already. So it's already like one baseline of it. So besides first experiences, what other things both got you interested in, BattleBots, combat robots in general, or other skills that you end up bringing to it as well? Like what are some of the external things that you end up bringing to BattleBots as you got deeper and deeper in the world of smashing things?
Well, I've definitely talked about the origin story of Valkyrie first, but I'd say because Valkyrie origin story is basically I pulled on Fred and Alex first for the original team, and it was off of having an unsuccessful team in 2016 that I was just a builder on, and I just was angry and wanted to be like, well, I'm gonna go ahead. He's good at not being on the internet. But I'm like, I'm gonna go ahead and make my own team, and you should join this. And I mean, he makes similar faces. There you go. And I just kind of. I told him that I promised that we would have a team that didn't get disqualified because his team in 2016 also got disqualified. And so that was the promise of like, we won't be disqualified. We're going to come with something that hits hard. And Alex had been my intern in 2014. And so we kept in touch and I pulled him on. And then one of his best friends, Brooks, I also pulled on. So that was our original team. And all of us had done first robotics. So we knew about the like, fast build, fast turnaround, and because we all are makers, we had a lot of resources. Like Brooks was at Formlabs and had all of their workshop to like quickly laser cut out all of what our armor would look like out of MDF, and then we painted it to look like what Valkyrie would. We used some of Fred's electric go-kart tires from one of his Power Racing Series vehicles, and that's what we were just going to use for the tires, and then we 3D printed all of the frame rails, so we could just like build it up and show like what the size of Valkyrie looked like and what it would actually be if they said yes to us, and we could actually go throw the money at making the thing. And then I have like, as the team is iterated on, like after 2021, obviously half the team split off to have a Team Omega, and that was where I was fortunate. Like Lucy and Alex pulled on John, and bam, we can tell how they joined the team in their intro, or how they got pulled into robots.
Yeah,
there you go.
I mean, I started on Sawblaze in grad school with Jameson when he's like, hey, I want to start a BattleBot team. And we were in Makerspace stuff together and building projects. And I'm like, well, that sounds pretty neat. Yeah, of course I want to do that. So I skipped the whole doing small bots thing and went straight for designing Sawblaze and doing the green flamethrower on that for all the years there. And then, came to Valkyrie a few years ago when the team kind of reshuffled there and needed more help, and it's been a good time. And I never did first robotics in high school, but I mentor a team, and BattleBots really helps me also relate stories to them, and I work on robotics at work as well. So there's a lot of robotics troubleshooting in my life, and robotics design work, and it's robots all the way down, and it's fun.
Yeah, and for me, I didn't really do any robots before starting BattleBots. I never even watched BattleBots. And Alex, I was in grad school, and then Alex was just like telling me about like Valkyrie, and he asked me if I wanted to come help assemble the robot. So, he gave me small doses of drugs until I got into it. That's pretty much it. Yeah, that's basically how it worked. And I think I was intrigued by BattleBots and like doing combat robots in general because I didn't know about it. Like I was very excited to jump into a new space where there seems like there's so much I could learn. I studied mechanical engineering, but I was never kind of like the hands-on person. I was a very like textbook theoretical engineer. And so I never felt confident doing anything and building anything with my hands or being in the shop. So I thought that combat robotics was such a good opportunity to do that. And, I was not wrong. I've learned so much since I started. But yeah, I never really actually built anything with my hands up until I started doing combat robotics. And so like I designed some parts for Valkyrie even before I saw Valkyrie in person, which is pretty interesting. And then now I'm driving the robot. It's great.
What a story. You're like, what's this fascinating? It's like, what's the meme of the bird that like tries like a candy bar or something? Like the eyes begin to glow. I don't know. Wish I had like a physical. I wish I had like a visual reference for it. But it's kind of like that. That's fun. But
I think like it's one thing I really appreciate about combat robotics as a hobby is just the range of people that are in it. Like you really don't need to have an engineering degree to do combat robotics. You learn so much just by doing it, and no one should be scared to jump in and just try it. And everyone's super supportive, and there's so much you can just learn on the spot. Like even like I just learned by doing things. And that's the best part is just being able to learn and being able to iterate and, jump in and just do it.
Yeah, and I think that's actually our calling card of anyone can do it. And like, it is a daunting task to take on building a robot, especially if you haven't done it before. And like, I was afraid of figuring out my own motor and power systems for just my job when I was working at a robotics startup. So combat robots was kind of a way for me to be like, well, I'll get this wrong and it'll cost me money. So it'll be a painful lesson, but a good one. And then you just learn like how to get better. And then you learn from other people, or just like, there's just some generalized knowledge of like, oh, hey, like go for higher voltage, that equals better. And then you're like, but why? And then learning like either application and trying it, or you go down like a tunnel of researching online and validating why you should do that, and then that just like makes you better equipped to like have this whole new like knowledge base that if you didn't just go, I'm going to do this and I'm going to see it through till the end, even if I lose, it doesn't matter, I'll know what to change next. That like the self, like being able to be only accountable to yourself and build and learn stuff that's not just like at work is, I find, really, really valuable, and kind of makes it so you're easier to go easy on yourself. Of like, there's not the pressure of you losing your job if you get something wrong. The pressure is just like, oh, well, your robot just falls apart in 5 seconds or whatever. Or you just have like different failure modes that appear that you didn't think of, and then you just like build on that. And like, I would be a way lesser engineer today if I had not decided 8 years ago to do this crazy thing.
No, that's awesome. And so I guess pairing with that, it's like that definitely is a massive level of growing up, a leveling up, not only just like technically, but also I was curious that there was also a development for like branding and stuff. Because Valkyrie is probably one of the most visually, just aesthetically pleasing robots. Like the branding is sharp. Like there's really cool art. Like the lines of Valkyrie have been great. There's like the eyes that Valkyries have, which are very, very rare amongst like almost every BattleBot. Very few of them have like eyes, let alone like cool eyes, the way Valkyrie does. And then like your jackets and the colors and stuff like that. How's that development of that been like? Like as you were thinking about how are we going to lean into sort of the Valkyrie theming, how has the coloring, designing, artwork of Valkyrie developed over its time too?
Well, Alex has always want pretty robots. Alex really cares about aesthetic design, and that was something that I agreed with him and wanted to just support in whatever the direction was, and that's still the case today. We've had different like either illustrators or graphic designers help us through the years with either logos we've had or like the newest version of Valkyrie. Actually, previous overhaul teammate Cynthia, who's one of Lucy's best friends, helped us with like a lot of different concept designs, and we just like went down, selected what we liked, and like went with a vote for the team of what people liked. Early on, part of why we chose blue is we just did data analysis of all the robots that were currently in BattleBots and what colors they all shook out to be, and just tried to pick one that was less common. And that's kind of where that started, of the blue being like what we just kept committing to and coming back to time and time again. Making less of a black robot, it was partially to just not blend in with the floor. That was a want, but like I think current Valkyrie just looks very good, and Bam helps a lot with Alex with a lot of design, and she's helped with a lot of the art direction that we've had since she joined the team too. If you want to talk about it, Bam.
I just like when things line up.
So real.
Like
So real. So true.
That's pretty much it.
But it's so good.
Yeah,
Like,
we really
I mean,
wanted
that-
to have something
yeah.
that looked unique. So yeah.
Yeah, because like I will say sort of like at another level that the zoom on the eyes is cool. But like you're good. So like I know at NHRL over here in the East, they've really been trying to push for not only the formation of teams, but also like really interesting robots and how they look and how they appear. And so when I look at robots and BattleBots, you already kind of been progressing that direction. Valkyrie in particular is like a really great example of that. So I've really enjoyed seeing not only like that art progression going, but also perhaps encouraging others to do it too. So I think that gives Valkyrie probably one of the most like strong fan connections too, because obviously you guys can speak of it from any sort of like fan interactions you might have had, but not only Valkyrie having been around so long, winning great awards like the most destructive, and then the face-offs win too, but also like being a visually stand out machine. I think it's one of those like mainstay robots. It's ones that I think fans come back to in BattleBots and they're like, oh yeah, that looks cool. It hits things really, really hard, and I really appreciate like seeing the development of it, especially as it's gotten more and more powerful with time, like more resilient and stuff like that. So Valkyrie is really it's a really nice full package machine. It's good seeing that kind of stuff like developing, especially looking at like the small robots trying to catch up to sort of what you guys have been doing the bigger robot scale.
Yeah, and I think another thing that this leads to is just like the way we see robots and the reason we do it. It's not just like, hey, we're fighting robots, fun. Yes, obviously it's fun, but it's also like a means of us to like communicate to people and like use that to connect with people and like influence and inspire other people to also do it. So in that sense, like it makes the branding, it makes all the extra effort we put in worth it, because we use it as a way to connect to people.
And also like art matters.
Yeah. This is one of my favorite Instagram posts like of all time. I've worked with a couple like local tattoo artists actually on my robot, and whenever they're like, what do you want from me? I'm like, I just send them this, and I'm like this. You know what I mean? Because it's just like
like
so,
a mood board.
like
Yeah.
this.
Yeah.
Do something for me like this, and it works out great because they're like, oh, this totally makes sense. So yeah, this is such a cool post, and I like that you can tell you went with 8.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was really cool to just have Cynthia draw up so many different options, and just sort of like even from where this was like we try to like then tune and like how like we have obviously a pressure for like when we have sponsors and different tiers of like what we ask for dollars and how big they get a logo on the robot that could help like be integrated into the design or how we plan for that. And just like making it look good does help the sponsor game of just like they want to play and be like, hey, look at this thing, it looks really cool. And yeah, just art matters. I remember actually with on Huge, Maddie, she's just like, oh, I just do the art, that doesn't matter. I'm like, yeah, but like those eyes are now iconic, like they're seen all around the world, like are you kidding me? And just like that's like art is important too, and it connects with a lot of different people. And so if you just made this thing that was kind of like hits hard but doesn't look cool, like that wouldn't have as much of like a story or like be eye catching or interesting. We also had the optimism that we might end up a toy. That didn't happen, but we wanted to make it look good enough to be a toy.
Hey, there's hope. BattleBots isn't dead. Who knows? You know, if ABC comes back and listens to this exact podcast and they're thinking, you know what, we have to look at that. It has like 20 different options we could try to make more robot toys from. We have to do it. Then you'll know. You're like, we did it. It didn't happen when we thought, but that art and like form and function working together, it's always a potent combo. It's always like the thing to look for. Like you said, it's one thing if you have like Silver Box Supreme, that might do good. But it's another thing where you're like, oh, this is like an almost living thing that has not only done stuff. Silver Box Supreme. Yeah, that
sounds kind of sick, actually.
Well, now someone knows. If you see Silver Box Supreme at another BattleBot competition, now
you're a little inspired. Not gonna lie.
Maybe like chrome vinyl, shiny.
I mean, square robots are much easier than wedgy, angular robots where your batteries are at an angle or things are at an angle, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So.
We just need to invent triangle batteries, and then we'll be good.
We just go with like different like cellular like cylindrical packs and make them kind of triangular, but then we won't have the output we want.
You see? I mean, maybe it may not have the output you want, but it could fit a certain aesthetic. Like don't know. Maybe it's
just be the drivey version.
Yeah, exactly.
You didn't like the massive V with the wings on it? Oh man.
So I will say that one of the things is how much you can see it from far away does matter too.
Yeah.
Like for example, if you have across the box, you want to be able whatever pops out to be really clear. So and also we do a lot of vinyl layout and like think about having where the tapers like the mega thin part. That would suck so much to like lay out and then also peel off
I'm pretty sure I was in this meeting and I was like, all right, because I'm the one who does the decals. So I was like, decal nightmare cost out like half of me.
The application.
So like the really thin pinstripes up here, these thin pinstripes down here.
Like long continuous pieces, I imagine, pretty tricky.
Yeah, this one here too.
It's trickier.
They look great, but you know,
Yeah, actually, it's a good point. It's a good point. Like, if you have a really tiny robot, like a beetle weight, maybe size of your hand, maybe it's less of a deal. But then when you get to like the heavyweight scale, it's like maybe a little hard. That's like a 4-foot long decal, maybe a little tricky now, something like that.
I mean, like even we had to like kind of tone down on like the aesthetics as well. Like in season 7, we had LEDs in the eyes, right? Like they would actually light up. Mm-hmm. In the latest at Pro League, our eyes are kind of just they're reflective decals, so they're not active LEDs anymore. So we've toned down a little bit.
You'll respect how massive a mistake these decals were then.
Yeah,
these were a nightmare. They looked fine, but they were not. I'm glad that someone else felt my pain.
Wait,
is that on UHMW?
I was gonna say on UHMW. Are you crazy?
Yeah, this was it was peeling. It was not. It was. Don't ask.
Did you learn?
I learned my lesson. But look how it did good for like 2 photos. Look, there you go. That was my first NHRL robot. So
nice to meet you all.
Yeah.
Friends, don't let friends try to put decals on UHMW.
Yeah.
That's true. I didn't understand how much it would peel. So that's high tack vinyl, and it just like it. Yeah, I'm looking at it on my shelf right now.
I'm looking at we have on our UHMW some decals, and on the side it's peeling. So, but they're big chunks. There's not any squiggly bits.
Whoever can invent a way to like make UHMW pretty.
Oh, you sand it. You sand it. You sand it
you
first,
make it rough.
and then you paint it. Yes.
Yeah, stencils.
But that's doing too much. That's doing way too much.
That's
You don't want to
so
be
hard.
doing
Can
that.
you
But if it's for the
sandblast
form
it?
and the function, though, is it worth it?
Huh?
If it looks good and does good, could it work?
Yeah. I mean, the main thing would just be whenever you get a hit, it's probably still going to peel off, so you're going to have to relay it up, however.
Yeah.
But
sometimes you just need one good picture, though. You know, sometimes you just need good picture.
That's all that matters.
Just need the strong opening to it.
I'm not going to tell you. UHMW. Yeah, that was. And then I tried paint marker. That's touch it.
oh my god, it takes so much time to do too, especially on the big one. That's what previous Spaceship Valkyrie was all paint marker on black greebles. So like having to just like that. And if you look
that
at
was
the
all
top,
paint marker.
there's a lot.
Oh.
That's
Oh my
all
gosh.
silver paint markers. It took a lot of time.
It does look very cool, though. That does like.
But it lasts forever on the internet, so
That's
you know.
That's true. And I have a box of those greebles still, and some of them are still colored. And yeah, this was the worst one because we had to basically make a stencil to do the lines, and you can see how it's still not great. So
This is
OG
like
got there, like,
just
let's not
don't
do
zoom
this
in too
next
much.
year.
Yeah. Okay.
Hashtag handcrafted.
Yes. Right.
Artisanally crafted.
Handcrafted.
This one looks good. This is a significant improvement from 2018 to 2020.
Oh yeah.
Significant improvement.
Yeah. Stay in frame though.
Really? Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I love it. The Valkyrie is a great machine. I've really enjoyed seeing its progress, even in the harder times of like modern day battle bots where verts are running among. I guess universally, Claire's NHRL as well. Jay can speak to it obviously. Little bots and big bots, verts be verting, and they enjoy a nice healthy balance of physics and support. And so it's good seeing the horizontal fight the fight.
Yeah. Sorry. Yeah, I do. Sorry, I hit your browsing thing. But sorry. Yeah.
I wasn't streaming that.
I appreciate the way the algorithm works and it protects my eyes. Sorry. But yeah, I don't know. Like making like the vert sad in general. I don't like potential energy just being like handicap, but I don't know. We like to keep things interesting and challenging by pretty and hits hard, and doesn't have to be a vert.
I think if the battle box or any arena was like slightly bigger, it would like be exponentially easier as a horizontal. It's such a like robot size to battle bots like arena size is such a big factor actually.
Yeah, you need a box to be able to see the back. We learned that in your first fight against Orbitron.
Don't get me started about the shelf.
There it is. Shelf mentioned.
The shelf.
There it is. It's same thing with Ray. Ray said if I continue to speak.
Actually.
Oh, even worse.
Yeah, my problem with the shelf is not the shelf; it's the corners that the shelf creates.
Exactly, like the additional brake pad perimeter for anything that's not a vert. You just have more surface area to like be cornered into or brushed up against or like trapped in, and basically like you can see Orbitron has a lot of it does that on purpose to try to corral into one corner or another, and that's one of the strategies for it to just like trap someone in the corner and hit because there's no way to get out. It's not big enough.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Fun fact: the battle box has 10 corners.
10 corners?
8 corners on one of the corners. 8 corners, 4 corners on each of the 2 corners away from on the driver's box, and then 2 corners at the driver's box. There's 10 corners in the box. Geometry.
Oh no, that just sounds like the worst. I mean, well, you all know it because you had to fight in there. I don't envy you. That sounds like pain to fight against.
I don't know. I feel like
It's just a
could
no-go
change it up
zone.
for like an event and just surprise you with it. Wouldn't that be fun?
Wouldn't that be such a nice, handy dandy super surprise? It'd be so cool.
You know, you need to have an arena with obstacles, and that's how you keep it interesting. Or you just encourage more of the meta. You know.
Oh well. We can hope. We can hope for a day. Hope for a day that changes.
Yeah, my hope is dead with that one. I think the shame
True.
shelf is permanent.
The shame shelf. Oh no. There we go. Not the shame
That's
shelf.
what it was
not
called the
shame
first
shelf.
year, and I'm going to hold that as the name. I think it is a good name.
So true. So true.
I mean, the clock has a sponsor, and it's telling us everything needs a sponsor.
Game Shelf Removes, brought to you by Not Bright Data or something.
No.
Would you pay someone double to get it out? That's the question.
Yeah, right? Find the right sponsor. I'm sure that they have feelings about it, just as who.
I'm sure we'll find it.
We have to sponsor floor space.
You know, that
Fair
actually
enough.
could be a good argument against it. You could say, hey, if you want to, you could use that area that was covered up, and you could just more a sticker. I don't know, something,
Yeah.
something to help.
Detergent company cleaning up the arena.
Let's go. The tide shelf removal. Oh no, something like that.
There was a
Plans in the
stain.
future. It removes the stains. There you go. Well, it's been fantastic being able to talk with you all about Valkyrie, as well as your own journey, particularly through Pro League, because that sounds miserable between all the lost stuff.
It was pretty miserable.
Absolutely.
It sucks.
But at the same
Disappointing and
time,
it's miserable.
that's true. But at the same time, it's also good seeing Valkyrie doing stuff. Looking forward to more of your fights. I know the Terror Top fights one already happened, right?
Yep.
Yes. The Terror Top fight's been aired. There's more on the way pretty soon, right? Because I think there's
Next
you
week,
guys
we have our
next week.
fight against, actually, maybe, it might come out next week. I don't know. We'll
Ooh.
see. May or
Ooh,
may not come out next week, you know?
ooh, bit of intrigue. Well, you know,
Who's to say?
who's to say? I guess that's why you hit that like, subscribe, click the little bell for notifications, and it'll tell you. It'll show you one way or the other.
Exactly.
But even so, still good to chat. Still good to see the bot doing
Thank
good
you
stuff.
so much. Thank you so
Thank
much,
you
guys.
so much.
It's been real. Appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks for having
Thank you for
us.
having us.
Thanks a lot.
In
Yeah,
2
take
weeks,
care.
we're looking at having Brian Casper on the. I haven't confirmed it yet, Brandon, but I was trying to during this. I'm
why
trying to
you're-
bother him, but maybe if I say that we're having him on, he'll actually come on.